Fraud scheme uncovered in Minnesota found money intended for social services has been allegedly siphoned indirectly into the pockets of the Somali terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Somali immigrants in Minnesota have reportedly been abusing systems meant to help the most unfortunate among us, including the latest federally funded autism services. The autism fraud scheme reportedly amassed $14 million through Medicare claims for services that were never provided, involving kids who never had autism.
Okay.
And the Somali immigrants behind this web of schemes have allegedly stolen billions from taxpayers, much of the money going back to the Somali government, where it would then end up in the hands of terrorists. Manhattan Institute investigative reporter Ryan Thorpe was one of the first exposing the schemes for their ties to terrorism. With us now, Ryan,
let's go, guys.
A line from your story stuck out. The largest funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Like, saying that out loud is wild. All right. Obviously I knew nothing about any of this here, right? But I just want you to know right now, like I can imagine that they're not the only group specifically that's benefiting from some type of like tax funded something, guys. I'm almost positive that's not the case here, guys. I think that there are people who are absolutely taking advantage of the United States of America in ways that are absolutely crazy, guys. And you need to be very careful with where the money is basically going. Like, basically follow the money by all default here, guys. And you can see exactly where that's going, and just kind of make sure that the money is actually helping the people and not just being thrown away, bro.
Largest funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer, and you cite an unnamed source for that.
An unnamed source?
What is the evidence that all of this money that was taken and the billions upon billions of increased funding in Minnesota for social services ended up in Somalia?
Well, billions of dollars of government welfare money is missing in the state of Minnesota.
How do we define missing?
It's gone.
Well, the fraud is so bad that the U.S. Attorney's Office has come out and indicated that they believe their entire government programs, where the fraudulent claims outstrip the legitimate ones. There are cases where indictments have come down, or guilty pleas are already in to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars that were fraudulently obtained, filing false claims alongside doctored paperwork. And the indictments are continuing to come. And the U.S. Attorney's Office has made very clear that this is a network of fraud schemes stacked upon fraud schemes, and that while the true dollar figure in terms of stolen funds at this point isn't quite clear, it's safe to say that we're talking about billions of dollars. Okay.
It's pretty wild, some of the things that you lay out, including one group called Feeding the Future that went from getting $3.4 million in 2019 to $200 million 2 years later. They grew faster than NVIDIA. How did nobody see that? Or is it that people and the government and those who are supposed to be the watchdogs, like Tim Walz, like Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, there just weren't looking?
Did you expect Tim Walz to do his job? Are you crazy? How dare you?
Like Tim Walz, like Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, there just weren't looking.
I think it's safe to say that there was a real unwillingness or inability among Democratic state officials in Minnesota to recognize some pretty obvious alarm bells here. All across these programs, claims were skyrocketing, absolutely spiraling out of control over a short period of time. And the reality is that the Somali community, which is where these large-scale fraud rings have been concentrated within this population in the state, it is a sizable voting bloc. It is a voting bloc you have to win if you're going to win.
So you're basically paying for their votes. That's kind of what I'm getting from this here. I definitely did not know that there was a gigantic community of Somalians, specifically in Minnesota, but it definitely sounds like in order to basically get their vote, they were basically giving them funds, which then they moved to East Africa for the sole purpose of harming America and harming the West in general. That's wild, bro.
Voting bloc. It is a voting bloc
you
have to win if you're going to win political office in Minneapolis. And so I think that was likely a incentive here that made some people not want to look too closely at what's been going on.
Right.
Wow. And that would explain why
There are a
now
lot of refugees in
it's the
Minnesota.
U.S. attorney looking into it rather than the state law enforcement or state fraud investigators. Is there any indication, Ryan, as you get, and it's one of those things you drop an investigative piece, and then all of a sudden you get 1,000 more tips that this goes higher, like actually into state government? You get the last 30 seconds.
I can't confirm that. So I don't want to get out in front of my skis here. What I can say is that this story has generated additional tips, and it is something that we are continuing to look into as we push forward with our efforts to expose the fraud rings that have been taking advantage of the generosity of Minnesota taxpayers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nice. Stunning also how little pickup this has gotten around the country in terms of the rest of the media. Applaud your guys' continued work on it. Ryan, come back and talk to us as you uncover more, all right?
Okay, guys. Like if you want to understand like why I generally say that I'm like super fiscally conservative, it's because of things like this and programs like this that exist that are basically taking advantage of the actual tax-paying base, obviously, while then propping up and facilitating our own demise in other places kind of around the world or even kind of within the United States of America. It's frustrating. Listen, I see the comment here, right? I just want to go and point this out here. I did not see the Minnesota state flag. I had to just verify for a second here. It kind of, like if you were to tell me that that was a flag of Somalia, I'd probably say, yeah, if I looked at it really quickly, right? Like just really quickly, star, the almost a similar shade of blue, but slightly off, right? Seafoam green, more like, or baby blue. Yeah, that absolutely. Yeah, they're trying their hardest. Okay, they're in fact trying their hardest to basically capitulate specifically to a refugee group within the United States of America. That's what it looks like. Be here, come here, right? Vote how we want. Let's go ahead and do this, so you'll vote for our ridiculous causes that Tim Walz puts in place here, guys. And it's crazy because I think by default, Somalia is not a specifically overtly progressive place. So what exactly does Tim Walz have to offer? Like inherently the Somalian community in Minnesota. Because if you actually pay attention to what Tampon Tim says specifically, right, you'll start to realize almost immediately that it goes against nearly every single bit of conservativeness, let's say, that they have to offer, bro. Okay? Just my opinion here. I wondered. But now I see what's happening here. You're paying them for their vote. Wild. Yep, they're going to find out, in fact, eventually. But there's no telling when. There's no telling when here, guys. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to like promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies. And I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings. And we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry, right? Listen, like and subscribe.